there's still some out eating cookies, and I said, come on over. This is the women's ministry.
Bring their
seminar. I know it. It's, thank you, Vicki, for coming to share. Vicki is from Gastonia, North Carolina, lifelong ARP, and has had experience with women's ministries, local level, presbyterial, and synodical too. So we appreciate you coming to share, and I know I was talking to her briefly. The question that always seems to come up is, how do we get the younger women involved in women's ministry? So universal question, and she told me that's one of her points. We would love to see this room overflowing, but we can go and share what we learned back home. So thank you so much, Vicki. Let me pray for you. You should begin. Father, we do thank you for this day. We thank you, Father, for the conference and just what you are putting on the heart of each speaker. And so we pray especially for Vicki now as she does share from her experience and her heart. And Father, we just pray that you would continue to raise up godly women in all of our churches to serve and to follow you. And so God, Vicki, with her words and all of us that are here to learn and listen, and for you, Holy Spirit, to teach us. In Jesus' name, amen.
I am here because Kathy Hunt asked me to come. So if you do not like the seminar, I think it's kind of interesting that I'm here, and part of the gist of this is that I'm trying to find ways to get more younger people to come in to take offices. That's, if we don't do that, eventually the rest of us get so old we can't really do that much anymore. And so if we don't get younger women in, that's fine. But for about 2/3 of you, I think I'm preaching to the choir. But anyway, let's hope that maybe you'll share some with your younger people. I personally did not get into women's ministry, even though I was raised in the ARP church until I was in my 30s. My earliest thought about women's ministry, I was about 8 or 9 years old. I'm in bed, Mama's tucking me in, and she's getting ready to go to circle meeting. And she has on a navy dress with a nice little white lace collar, white gloves, nice little white pillbox hat on. And she said, I'm going to kiss you tonight, Dad's here with you, and I'm going to circle. I'll see you in the morning. And it stuck in my mind. If you go to circle, you have to dress up. And why do you want to dress up to go sit around in a circle? And so I never really felt the draw to get into women's ministry. In fact, I was, 33, 34 maybe, before I finally actually even went to a circle. And that's because a lady at my church kept bugging me and saying, well, at least come and try it. And I thought, do I have to dress up? What are we going to do? I mean, what is a circle? And, I really, even though I'd grown up ARP, that wasn't something that I had any clue about. I'd never asked, just like cooking, I'd never asked. I thought, food just appears on the table. So I went to circle, and it wasn't that bad. I knew some people that were in the circle. I got to know them better, and in a couple of years, they're like, you want to be a circle leader? What do I have to do? And, they kind of explained it to me. I was like, well, that wouldn't be that bad. I'll try that. And so I was perfectly content being a circle leader for a while, teaching the lesson, the Bible study every once in a while. And then somebody said, we need somebody to be a vice president for our local board. I said, what would I have to do? Oh, really, there's not that much to it, and you'll be working with the president, and she'll kind of show you everything along the way. And so I'm like, fine. Well, halfway through that first year that I was vice president, the president had to resign. Her mother had gotten very sick. She just had time for nothing else. So I jumped kind of right in without being fully oriented. And what I found was that God helps you. He sends people in your way that know what you should be doing and that will help you out. And that's the whole thing about women's ministry. You're not, if you accept an office, oh no, they're all going to say, she doesn't know what she's doing. What do I do? People are there to help you. It's not that bad of a thing, and you get so much out of being involved with it, so much more than you do, like if I just came to Circle all the time. I mean, and that's great if you go to Circle, I hope you do. But don't be afraid if somebody asks you to try something. Don't be afraid to at least try it. There's always going to be somebody, God will send somebody that's going to help you with it. My only problem that year was when I moved up to president is that it meant that I was in charge of the mother-daughter banquet, and those of you that know me well know that arranging events with food is not one of my areas of expertise, but I had a lot of friends. They knew how to cook. They knew what kind of stuff to serve, and we got through it and it went fine. So my initial dread of it, it's been that way in every office I've had. I do the things I can do, I figure out what needs to be done, and there's always somebody around that is good at that will help you. So that's one reason you ought to get into women's ministry. I really think that we need to acknowledge the fact that we all have different talents. As I said, some people are good cooks, some people are good organizers, some people are good Bible study teachers. So it takes all of us in the women's ministry to get those kind of things done. And I was very interested, a lady at my church that I have the greatest respect for, I said, I'd like to put just a few words about the history of women's ministry in here. And she said, I know just the book, and it's called Woman's Work in the Associate Reformed Presbyterian Church. And evidently there's 2 editions. The first covers from 1941 to 1979. And I think, you know, I was alive for most of that time, but I look at what they did then and I see how we are now, and boy, have we come a long way, and I'm so happy and proud of that fact. Our denomination itself was organized in 1782, but it was 133 years later before we had an organized women's ministry type thing. It began in 1915 as the Women's Synodical Union in U.S. South Carolina. That was the official organization, but before that, Old Still Creek in Charlotte had a home mission service, which was their division of it. And in Kings Creek Church, which was in South Carolina, they had the Ladies Missionary Society. And in Winnsboro, South Carolina, they had the Women's Benevolent Society. And I'm so thrilled that we have evolved, that we don't just support missionaries, although that's a very, very important thing. We have just blossomed into so many different things. We help with the ARP magazine, we help with Thurston. The women's ministry gives to so many different causes. So, you know, I'm very proud of these ladies that began it, and I hope that we are doing them justice and that we will continue to grow as they grew. I thought it was cute, some of the other names they had. A MITE, M-I-T-E Society, Ladies Aid Society, Ladies Missionary Society, and then something else I found interesting, Second Presbyterial Union, again, that word union in there, was formed in 1907, and they also started what they called the monthly bulletin. And that monthly bulletin evolved into the Associate Reformed Presbyterian Journal of Missions, which evolved into the Synodical Journal, which became the ARP magazine that we have today. And you know, if you've ever looked at any of that, copies of any of that kind of stuff, how informational we are now. We have all these women's pages that tell you things that are going. We find out other things that are going on in our whole denomination. And I think that's important. Communication is important. One more thing, and this is, as far as the history, I'm going to put in a personal plug at the end of it. In 1961, they decided that the money that they were getting from thank offerings should go to build a building here at Bottom Clarkin, which became the Synodical Hall. All the money that they had for that went towards the building, and they began doing silver teas. And at the Silver Tea, it's not that, okay, it's $10 for you and get in and have it as food. It doesn't work like that. There is a little donation bowl, and if you would like to donate for the upkeep of Snautical, which is totally the women's responsibility, then that's what that money goes for. And wouldn't you know it, there's a Silver Tea this afternoon. And wouldn't you know it, First Presbyterial is in charge of it. And I'm the president of First Presbyterial. So I really hope you'll come. We have tons and tons of food. I have a friend who's very good at teas she's over there working now, in fact, has done so much to get this organized. I think it would be very nice. Please invite other people. We really don't want to haul any of that food away. We would like for you to come and enjoy the tea and socialize with people. This is an opportunity for you to meet with people from all over the denomination. So I do hope that you will come. Okay, what are the benefits of being in a circle? Well, most of them have Bible study. Most of them do some sort of a project. A lot of them provide support for each other. I know in my circle, we probably spend about as much time on our prayer concerns as we do our Bible study. And it's not just, okay, well, you know, I'm looking for a new job, please pray for me. Well, the next time we meet, somebody's asking, were you able to find a job? I have been praying for you. And we rejoice when the prayers are answered. And it's nice to know there are a group of ladies that you can depend on. And that's what, to me, the circle ought to be for everybody. Okay, what other types of circles are there? Now, I'm blessed. I'm at a large church. We have probably 8 or 9 circles, I think. I know there are some churches that maybe have 2 or 3. There's some that might just have 1. I know of one church where they only have 2 ladies that ever meet. But they meet once a month. They bring food, they share it. They go over the Bible study, and they have prayer. So it's not that, it's great if you can do a lot of things at your circle. But even supporting each other. In fact, the other day at the board meeting, it was mentioned, well, you know, a circle could be 4 homebound ladies that all they do is call each other and pray for each other. Again, you're getting that support from other ladies for the things that you believe in and for the things that are bothering you. So I hope that if you know anybody who's not in a circle, you will do your best to ask them, and don't just ask them once. Because if that lady hadn't kept asking me over and over, I probably wouldn't have done it. One of the things that the ladies sponsor is the Jubilee birthday. And most of you hopefully have seen a copy of this book. They were giving them out yesterday at the showcase. And our current 2 ladies that this Jubilee birthday supports, Sheila Osborne and Rebecca Carson. And we started this long ago, and sometimes it was just a missionary wife, sometimes it was a missionary. But there's usually 2, and when one goes off for whatever reason, they've retired or something, then we bring in a new one. I'd like to read you what it says. The Jubilee Birthday Celebration is an anniversary of the sending out of the first ARP missionary in 1875. This celebration began in 1925, making the first 50 years of ARP missionary service and the sending out of the first ARP missionary, Mary Galloway, to Egypt. We celebrate it annually in different churches, and different churches do it in different ways. I know back in the old days, they used to try to encourage every lady to give a penny for every year old that she was. Actually, we did something like that at our last one, and we suggested dimes, quarters. Because times have changed a little bit, inflation has come around. We did one where we had 12 different cakes representing the months, like our circle had to do the one for March, and ours was a little leprechaun hat shaped green cake. And we made people sit according to the month of their birthday. And we raffled off the cakes, like, or, you know, had some way to draw for them or whatever. So, 12 people got to take home a cake. I've seen it where the whole congregation celebrates it. You have like a birthday party. However you do it, the point is that these ladies do need your financial support. And this is one way that we do it. And I know you've all seen this beautifully illustrated silver tea invitation. Just another reminder, it's this afternoon at 2:30. Anytime from 2:30 to 5. Another thing that we tend to do in circles, or in churches, or in Presbyterials, we do retreats. In First Presbyterial, we do one every other year, hoping that in the year we don't do it, the local churches will do one. And it doesn't have to be that you go off, drive 5 hours to the beach, although to me that would be nice. We usually come to Buck Park in 4 hours. Some people do an in-house retreat, and they do it at their church. They have the speaker the night before, come in the next morning, have breakfast, and then the speaker speaks again, and it's a fellowship time. We're trying something this year. We're not sure how it's going to work. We're combining our retreat with our annual meeting, because we thought, well, we'll have them come up here for the annual meeting, and then 3 weeks later we want them to come to retreat. So it's within the same time frame that it was. I think we have a great speaker, and I always mess up her name, but I think it's Barbara DeGood. I'm close. The one who wrote the Extravagant Grace book. And she's going to speak 4 times during our retreat. The 4th time will be during our annual meeting. She'll be our speaker for that. But if anybody's interested, I do have some brochures up here for it. That will be in November. But the retreat is a good time for you to just kind of get to know each other better. When we do our Presbyterial retreats, I know there's some ladies, I only see them once a year, or once every other year, and it's at that retreat. But I found that after I'd met several at the retreat, lo and behold, here they were at the Family Bible Conference. And it's like it might be a long-distance friendship, but it's still a friendship. And it still just makes you good to see, oh yeah, hey Susan, I'm so glad to see you. How have you been? It's just a great visiting time. I did mention that we sometimes do projects in circles. I have a handout here for this. I had it yesterday in the showcase. If you didn't get one and would like one, you can feel free to get one afterwards. Okay, most of you are thinking, okay, what about the money? Okay, in circles, we generally take up money. We have a treasurer in ours, and she sends around 3 envelopes. She sends one around for the regular offering, and the regular offering goes toward our church's women's apportionment towards Synodical. We send around another envelope that's our Sunshine Fund, and that goes for things like if we want to send a gift card to our missionary that we correspond with at Christmas, or if somebody's been really sick, or if we decide we want to do a baby shower for somebody who's in the circle having a baby. So we kind of use that for smaller projects. And then the 3rd envelope is for Camp Joy. And even though it might not have more than $6 or $7 some months, by the end of the year, we usually have enough to do pretty much of a scholarship for Camp Joy. And if every circle does that, which most of ours do, we've usually come up with like 2 scholarships for the year. And it's expensive to go to camp, but Camp Joy is so worthwhile that we feel like it's worth doing that. But it's not that we just, hey, we want to see how much money we get in the treasury. It's nice to have money in there so that when there is a need, the board can vote on it and you can do it. Not to have to then say, okay, can everybody come up with $15? That's going to go over like a lead balloon. So just, that's why money is taken up. It's not for profit. It's just because there are needs that come up. For example, a year ago, our church has a circle that does the backpack ministry, where they pack up a backpack on the weekend for the kids that don't really have a lot of food at home. And they take it to the kid at their school, they take it in. That's their main mission. Well, suddenly the people in Gastonia that administered for that said, we need you to take 2 more kids. Well, it's something like $350 per kid per year. And they were already in their circle raising a lot of the money. The church had allotted them some money, but they were going to be a little short with having more kids at it. So it was great that our women's board at our church was able to provide for at least one of those, and I think some of the circles pulled together and pulled out the other. So it's, you know, money's not the most important part of the circle, but it is an integral part of it. Okay, who can join a circle and why would they? We've talked a little bit about why. Any ARP woman, any age. Some circles are made up of multi-generational groups, some of everybody's my age. Although we have recruited a couple younger ones, so I feel better about that. You just pick a circle that suits you. We try to, like I say, it's a big church, and I know that makes a difference. We have morning circles, we have afternoon circles, and for those that work, we have night circles. And we have one circle that we have a church service on Wednesday night, and there's a nursery provided. One of the circles meets during that time, so they don't have to worry about childcare. So it's, you know, we try to offer something to make it easy for anybody that really wants to do it. Okay, members of the board. Let's start first with your circle. Okay, what is the responsibility of a circle leader? Well, they need to communicate with their members about events. For example, when we were doing the Silver Tea, I asked our president to send out to every circle leader, help, I need cookies, help, I need help with the Silver Tea. And I got a lot of response. I sent out to some of the churches in the presbytery. Got help again. So communication, even on the circle leader level, is very important. They need to send reminders about circle meeting times and places. And if you come up with a consistent, like the second Monday of every month, at a certain time, the same every time, that's going to help your attendance. They need to make sure that someone is prepared with the lesson, and that if it comes up at the last minute, try to have somebody in your circle that's good at flying by the seat of their pants. And that's happened in my circle several times. You could guess who it is that does that. But, you know, you need that. In the circle, we usually try to have a circle leader and a co-leader, with the idea that the next year the co-leader will move up. And that's worked pretty well for us. We usually have a treasurer. We usually have, I call her a card lady, someone that is, I can't get up and speak, but I can write, and they keep up with the birthdays of ladies in the circle. They keep up with, they know anybody's sick, they send them a card. If their parents, you know, they try to make it a very sympathetic group, you know, to let people know we're thinking about you, and we are. We don't always know who is in that situation, but it's good to do that. Okay, if you're a circle leader, how much harder would it be to be a presbyterial person? You're going, that's a big step. Not really. If you can be a circle leader, that means, first of all, you've got a little bit of organizational skills. You've got some communication skills, and you kind of have some idea what you want to do. And I highly recommend that you keep a notebook. With each month's agenda, I do an agenda for each meeting, and with anything that your church board has sent you. Because you'll find that certain things come up every month of the year, and if you've got that notebook, the next circle leader can go by that. But guess what? They do that on the presbyterial level too. And you'd say, well, okay, if I was president, what would I do? Well, you would preside over the board meetings. You would provide guidance to circles. You would communicate with the women about upcoming events, needs, and projects. If you went to the presbyterial level, okay, you'd meet about 4 times a year. You would communicate what's going on. You're in charge. If you're the vice president, personally, that's the hardest job in the whole situation. The vice president, besides helping the president, besides running a meeting if the president can't be there, is the one who plans all the programs, like the annual meeting, if you're on the presbyterial level. At our church, it's like we have 2 ladies' nights out each year, and the vice president comes up with the theme, comes up with what the food's gonna be, what the speaker's gonna be. That's the hardest job, but once you've gotten through that, being president's easy. So, you know, it's worth getting through that year that's hard, because then you get to enjoy being president. The past president attends board meetings, helps the transition from old to new officers, and generally chairs the nominating committee. Again, you're getting back to the harder jobs. And the nominating committee is only hard because it's hard to get people to step out of their comfort zone and say, yeah, I'll try that. That's what I'm hoping to get you to see that you could do. If you have, you've ever helped to conduct a family meeting or helped up with the PTA or anything like that, you could be a circle leader, you could be a president, no problem. If you've ever planned a birthday party or some kind of an event or celebration, that knocks out the vice president's job. You can easily do that. It's just a matter of convincing yourself you can do that, and you can. If God brings you to something, He's not going to leave you out there on your lonesome. He is going to get you through that. I mean, I was a little bit intimidated about doing this thing today, but on the other hand, I thought, you know, I kind of have a few opinions on this. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to share them with everybody. Okay. The secretaries take minutes, and that's one of the easier jobs on the board, is they take minutes at board meetings and distribute them to the board. You help the president with communications and make sure the minutes are, I'm checking my time, okay. Make sure the minutes are corrected if they need to be. Okay. What are the qualities for an officer? A desire to serve. And again, that's nothing you have to go learn. It's not rocket science. If you have the desire to try to do this job, you can do this job. A willingness to take a leap of faith that you can serve in this capacity. Again, it's not that hard. Once you've done it once, you're going to find that, well, I have learned so much from this experience. I have met such nice people. I have found that there are even more things I can do that I had no clue I could do. I mean, it's something to think about, but the most important part of quality for an officer is to have an active prayer life. If God's with you, who's going to be against you? You know, you don't have to worry about any other enemies. God's with you. He is going to take care of you in this instance. If there is a need for someone to serve as an officer, or if you're asked to serve, be strong and courageous and accept. Now, I did have one lady the other day. I was shopping around for people for a nominating committee that I was doing, and she said, "Oh, I'm too old." She was still walking around, she was still breathing. And she had had experience in the past, you know. I wasn't going to ask her because out of respect for, okay, you served your time, but she still could have done it. So it's not that you're too young and it's not that you're too old. It's, are you willing to give it a try? And I hope that you are. You will be amazed at how much you receive as you seek to serve. Your church or circle or board needs someone to fill an office. Why not you? That's the question you should be asking when they ask you. Now, admittedly, those that know me, when I'm asked, as long as it's not childcare or cooking, I will usually say yes, because I know where my talents lie. As you can see, with this being my best artistic ability ever, and the only thing you would recognize, I'm not artistically gifted. And I know that. Well, it's the same with cooking and childcare. But I was willing to come into this office, and I was willing to learn. And it's been such a blessing to me along the way. So I'm going to end a little bit early here, but I thought possibly we might have some questions and answers. Let me come just a little bit closer. Can you still see me? So I'm here. Yes.
Me?
Yes.
As you talk about circles in churches and about wanting the women to come along and join, I'm just wondering how you promote or encourage, especially if you've got new women coming through the door who may perceive that this is all something that's set in motion and not penetrable at that point. I mean, how do you handle?
I can tell you what we've done at our
drawing?
church, which may or may not work in other churches. We have started developing all these different ministries. And this one I think is called Heart to Heart. And when a new lady, we have like an inquirer's class where new members come in, and when it gets towards the end of that, and those people are about to join the church, we have an event. We invite them to someone's home. They are fed a very nice meal. I don't do any of that part of it. And then we find that they may have questions, but we also try to have people there who know a little bit about it. And, you know, they'll have circle leaders there, or like at our church, we do a Christmas store. And of course, you know, I start talking about that because I can't help it. That's kind of my little baby. But it shows them, hey, there are all these different opportunities that you can get into. And in the circle, here's what we're doing, and we would love to have you at least join us. Here are the different circles we have. This is when they meet. These are the general ages or the general group that's in here. And, you know, give it a try. If you don't like mine, but I think 99% of them, if they will give it a try, are going to be happy with it. That's just one solution, but it's worked pretty well at our church. For a while there, we didn't have anything going, and it was just kind of like, hey, do you have a circle? I know you're new here. You want to come to mine? This worked a whole lot better, and it also gave those new ladies a chance to interact with each other. And it was kind of like, well, hey, I have some friends already in this church that are in the same boat that I'm in. So you might want to try that. Yes, ma'am.
I want to mention projects again.
Okay.
We've been helping with World Witness on the nursing scholarships at the Pakistan Hospital, Christian Hospital in Sayawal. Yeah. And at the Circle meeting, we have started saving $100 a month. It's a $1,000 scholarship per year for one student.
Y'all are a richer circle than we are.
Well, but 2 or 3 circles could get together,
Yeah.
and even the board could even come together by that time and have. So that's what we.
That's not
another
a bad project.
thing. It's a really good project, and we have girls in Pakistan that if they are not in this nursing project, they are just like chattel, a chair or something. And this, when they leave the nursing school, they can go anywhere just about in the world to be in a hospital somewhere. So it's a wonderful project.
Very good project.
For
I'm going to suggest that we do that at my church.
up
Anybody
there.
else?
Vicki, I'd like to just add something, especially when you're trying to appeal to the younger women of the church, and I was one of them.
You still are.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When I was invited to a circle, I thought a bunch of little old ladies knit. So when I invite younger women, younger than myself, I say it's a ladies' Bible study group. A lot of times if you say circle, you get this image. So if you're wanting to appeal to the younger crowd, I would say, come to my ladies' study group. Our ladies, we go have dinner and then we go to the church and have our Bible study, and it's wonderful. And we've got a lot of younger girls, like college age, and even high school girls that come to our group. And I've just learned that not necessarily you're renaming it, but just so that they understand that, you know, it's not just a knitting circle. It's you're literally doing a Bible study and you're growing together as ladies in Christ. Just figured I'd throw that out there.
Okay, it can be a matter of semantics. Somebody was talking the other day about our annual meeting. And, you know, what, if you've never been, what comes into your mind first? Annual meeting, what are we going to do? they said, you know, it seems like it's more of a conference because you have so many other things going on. I know for our Presbyterial meeting, we have several seminars, and we have a speaker, and, you know, we have lunch. So maybe it's terminology that is turning some of them off.
Yeah.
As far as the Bible studies, it's great, and we have them in most of our circles. You can have a Bible study without it being in the circle, and that would encompass all of your women in your church. You know, you can't be afraid to operate outside of the box. We had discussion about that the other day. You're only limited by your imagination and by having ideas that you're willing to try. And again, you're like, well, we've never done it that way before. Don't be afraid to try. What are you going to lose? You're not getting what you want right now, so what are you going to lose if you tried and it doesn't work? Yes, ma'am.
You just got me thinking of something we did in a previous church that I attended. We moved to Gastonia a year ago and joined the ARP denomination. Prior to that, I was in a different denomination in Virginia. However, that was a desire of the church we attended, was to gain more young women in the church. And what our particular circle did was we started a New Moms Meal Ministry. And so what we would do is for 2 weeks, 3 days a week, if there was a new mom we learned about that just had a baby, each one of us would deliver a meal to them. And it gave you an opportunity to minister them when you bring the meal. How are you doing? It's sort of at a vulnerable time for a new mom, and you're ministering to them through food and through fellowship. And then that's a great opportunity to say, you know what, this can kind of sometimes be a lonely time in your life. Once you get out of the weeds there and come to our circle, join us, and come be a part. So, and that doesn't necessarily have to be the women of a specific circle doing that. I think any women in the church could do that, and it's a great way to, in a Titus II manner, minister to women, or as a just woman who's in the same boat, understanding, you know.
Just to know that somebody cares.
Someone cares and brings you into the fold, yeah.
That's a good idea, too. One of the things I like about doing a question and answer is that somebody has an idea of something they're doing, and it'll spark in my head, oh yeah, I like that, except I would do it this way, or my situation would make it this way. And to me, this is a very valuable kind of thing to do. Do we have some more comments or questions, or?
I would just say that one of the things, it doesn't really matter if you're from a small church or a large church, whether you're single or part of a couple, you can achieve a certain anonymity if you want to in the church. You can sneak in at 2 minutes till 11, and you can get out at 12 as quickly as you possibly can. And you know, you won't have to get further or deeper into that fellowship. I would just say this circles, women's ministry is a chance to get to know people within a church and to establish a group that you are comfortable with, that you can serve with, that you can pray for. As you said, when you pray for each other, that's when you really get to know each other. Praying through prayer requests and coming back and saying, how's it going with this? How's it going? I've been thinking about you, been praying for you. And I just think that's so important, whether, like I said, whether you're a large church or a small church, you know, go out there and become involved intentionally in the lives of the members of your congregation. This is a great way to do that.
Well, you will get so much more out of it that way.
Absolutely.
It's like, which is better, to watch a cooking class on TV, or when you actually have the ingredients and are trying to put it together to make it turn out the right way? You know, and the involvement, it's not just watching it. You've got to actually do something.
Vicki, kind of following up what Carolyn was saying, some of the ladies in my circle, it's a group my age, and we've got some that are widows already, some that are divorced, some that maybe their husband don't come to church. So a couple of these have stood out at the front of the church, and when they have seen a single lady come in by herself, they've introduced themselves and said, would you like to sit with me? And that has made a big difference.
That is
them.
wonderful.
Yeah. real hard.
And even though I'm a single lady, I wouldn't have thought of doing that.
Well, it was some of these that thought of that, and I think it's made a difference.
Good thought. Yes,
Just to
ma'am.
kind of tag team on something these two ladies
Sure.
brought up, you know, people like us probably who are in this room are more joiners, probably, if I had to say. That's why we're here. But there are a lot of women who aren't necessarily joiners that until they're asked, aren't going to necessarily come to something like this. And they'll feel more comfortable if they've got someone to sit with, someone who's called them in advance, someone who says, I'll meet you at the door. You know, you don't know anybody's personality. They may, because of our type of personality, we may make assumptions that someone just doesn't want to be a part of it because they don't seem to be going to it. But that's not necessarily the case.
It's
That
not
just
being
not-
strong and courageous.
They just-
They're afraid to take that first step.
Right, and so
And
they
you
need
provide the
someone
help.
to help them come along, and then they may end up being that next person that does the same because someone did that for them, and it's sort of domino.
And that's what we want. Our goal is to equip and encourage and connect women. And, you know, you can't do that unless you get them in there.
So don't assume just because that person seems quiet and skips out at, you know, right there at the
Right,
end,
exactly.
they may not necessarily feel comfortable approaching, and it's just not their personality. So if you see them doing that a few times, say, hey, by the way, I noticed you. You know, introduce yourself and help them get involved.
We need to make sure we're doing that at our church. Okay, great. Anything else? And I don't have my watch, so again, y'all are supposed to be letting me know.
11:30. It's 11:30.
Okay, well, we're fine. Anything else? Well, I would like to thank you guys for coming and giving me an audience. I've enjoyed talking to you. I know I kind of ramble sometimes, but I get excited. And I'm excited about women's ministry. I'm excited about getting more ladies into it. I'm excited about all the wonderful things that together we can accomplish. So I'm thankful you were here. I hope you will share some of this with other ladies from your church and that you meet. And I would appreciate it if we could end with prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for these ladies who are here today. Thank you for their help in these matters. Thank you for their desire to help others, to enjoy women's ministry, to be a part of women's ministry. Thank you so much, Lord, for this place of Bunclarkin, where we can come to become refreshed and renewed. We pray, Lord, that you'll be with us in all that we do, and that you will provide safe travels when we have. In thy name I pray. Amen. Thank you. And there are handouts up here if you would like to.
And we want to thank Vicki for coming and sharing.
Absolutely.